Imagine being hungry with just one plate of food left to sell for the day. Then a crying child you've never ever seen before appears, lost and starving. Would you give him your last hope of earning money? Would you share what little you have when your own daughter needs medicine? Well, Maria did. She gave a plate of her rice and beans to comfort a hungry boy. She had no idea that this one act of kindness would unlock a destiny she never could have imagined. Maria sat on her small wooden stool in the corner of the busy marketplace. Her tired eyes watched the crowds of people walking past her simple food stall. She sold rice and beans from two old pots that had seen better days. The paint was peeling off her wooden table, and her torn umbrella barely protected her from the hot sun. It was another difficult day. She had only sold 3 small portions of food since morning, and the sun was already high in the sky. Her stomach growled with hunger, but she couldn't eat the food. She needed to sell the food. Every grain of rice meant money for her sick daughter's medicine. Maria's husband had died 2 years ago in a factory accident. Since then, she had been the only one taking care of her 6-year-old daughter Rose, who suffered from a serious heart condition. The doctor said Rose needed an operation, but it will cost more money than Maria could ever imagine having. Every morning, Maria would wake up at 4 o'clock to cook rice and beans. She would carry her heavy pots to the market, hoping to earn enough money for Rosa's medicine and their rent. Some days were good, but most days were like today, slow and discouraging. As Maria stirred her pot of beans, she noticed something strange happening near the big mango tree across from her stall. A small boy, maybe 6 or 7 years old, was crying. He wore expensive clothes, a clean white shirt and perfectly pressed blue shorts. His shoes looked like they cost more than Maria made in a month. But what caught Maria's attention was not his fancy clothes, it was his tears. The boy seemed lost, scared and alone. He kept looking around frantically, calling out, "Njeri, Njeri," in a voice filled with panic. People walked past him without stopping. Everyone was too busy with their own problems to help a crying child. Some even moved away from him, probably thinking he was just a street child trying to trick them. Maria watched for several minutes. Her heart ached seeing the boy's fear. She had seen many lost children in the marketplace over the years, and she knew that terrible things could happen to children who wandered alone in the busy streets. Finally, Maria couldn't watch anymore. She left her stall and walked towards the boy. "Little one, why are you crying?" The boy looked up at her with big brown eyes full of tears. His bottom lip trembled as he tried to speak. I can't find Auntie Njeri," he whispered. "She brought me here to buy fruits and I saw a puppy. I followed the puppy and now I can't find her anywhere." Maria's heart melted. "Who is Njeri, my child?" She's my auntie. She takes care of me," the boy said, wiping his nose with his sleeve. "My papa is away and Njeri was supposed to watch me. She's going to be so worried." Maria looked around the marketplace. It was huge with hundreds of people and dozens of stalls. Finding one person in this crowd would be like finding a needle in a haystack. "What's your name, my child?" Maria asked softly. "David," the boy replied. "David Richardson." Maria didn't recognize the last name, but something about this child touched her deeply. Maybe it was because he reminded her of her own daughter Rose, or maybe it was simply because she couldn't bear to see any child in distress. "Okay, David, let's find Jerry together," Maria said. "But first, when did you last eat? You look very pale." David's stomach growled loudly, answering her question. His face turned red with embarrassment. I haven't eaten since breakfast," he admitted. "Jerry said we will buy lunch after shopping, but then I got lost." Maria made a decision that will change both their lives forever. She took David's small hand in hers. "Come with me," she said. "Let me give you some food while we figure out how to find Jerry." David hesitated. His parents had always told him never to go with strangers, but something about this woman felt safe. Her eyes were kind, and her voice reminded him of his grandmother who lived far away. At her food stall, Maria served him a generous portion of rice and beans in her cleanest bowl, giving him what she had reserved to eat for supper. "Here, "Eat this," she said, handing him the bowl and a plastic spoon. David looked at the simple food. At home, he ate from fine china plates and had a personal chef who prepared elaborate meals. But he was so hungry and grateful that this food looked like the most delicious meal he had ever seen. "Thank you," he said politely before taking his first bites. As he ate, Maria studied his expensive clothes and gold watch. This was clearly not an ordinary child, but she didn't ask questions. "Do you know Jerry's phone number or Papa's number?" Maria asked. David's face fell. "No, I don't remember." Maria felt worried. How could she help him? Yes, she didn't have a phone. Her old flip phone had broken months ago and she couldn't afford to replace it. But if the boy knew his parents' contacts, he would have borrowed phone from someone in the stalls. "Don't worry," she said, trying to sound confident. "We'll find another way." Meanwhile, across the city at the Richardson mansion, Jerry was pacing frantically in the grand living room. She had called the police, the private security team, and was desperately trying to reach Mr. Richardson, who was in Singapore closing a major business deal. Jerry's hand shook as she dialed Mark's number again. This time, he answered on the first ring. "Jerry, how did the market trip go with David?" Mr. Richardson." Jerry's voice was barely steady. I lost David." There was dead silence on the other end of the line. "What do you mean you lost David?" Mark's voice was deadly calm, which Jerry knew was far more dangerous than if he had been shouting. "We were at the market buying fruits for tonight's dinner. I turned away for just a moment to pay the vendor, and when I looked back, David was gone. Sir, I have been searching for 2 hours. I have the security team out looking. I've called the police." 2 hours? Mark's voice rose. "Jerry, my son has been missing for 2 hours and you're just calling me now?" I kept thinking I would find him. I didn't want to worry you unless... Unless what? Unless my son was kidnapped? Unless something happened to the only family I have left? Mark's voice was filled with panic and fury. Jerry began crying. I am sorry, Mr. Richardson. I am so sorry." Mark was already moving. His assistant in Singapore could hear him shouting orders in the background. "Listen to me carefully, Jerry. Get every available security guard we have. Contact our private investigator. Call the police again and tell them this is urgent. Give them my name. I am getting on my plane right now." "Yes, sir, right away." "And Jerry, if anything happens to my son, if we don't find him safe..." Mark's voice broke slightly. I don't know what I'll do." Jerry could hear the pain beneath his anger. She knew that David was Mark's entire world since his wife Catherine died. "We'll find him, Mr. Richardson. I promise you'll find him. I'm taking the next flight out. It's a 20-hour flight, but I'll be there as soon as I can. Keep me updated every hour." "Every single hour, Jerry." "Yes, sir," Jerry said. "And Jerry, expand the search beyond the market. Check hospitals, police stations, anywhere a lost child might be taken. Use whatever resources you need." As Jerry hung up, she felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. She immediately called the head of security and began coordinating a massive search operation. Back at the marketplace, as David finished eating, Maria noticed several people starting to gather nearby. They were asking questions, showing a photo to anyone who would look. One of them was a woman in a maid's uniform who looked absolutely frantic. "Auntie Jerry!" David suddenly screamed, jumping up from his seat. The woman in the uniform spun around and saw David. Relief washed over her face as she ran towards them. "David! Oh my goodness, David!" Jerry cried, pulling the boy into a tight hug. "I've been searching for you everywhere. I was so scared." Jerry was a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, but Maria could see she had been crying, and her hair was messy from running around the markets. "I am so sorry, Auntie," David said, burying his face in her shoulder. "I saw a puppy and I followed it and then I couldn't find you." "Never do that again," Jerry said sternly, but her voice was filled with love. "Your papa will never forgive me if something happens to you." Then Jerry noticed Maria standing nearby. She saw the empty bowl in David's hand and the humble food stall. Did you feed him?" Jerry asked Maria. Maria nodded. He was hungry and scared. I couldn't just leave him like that. Jerry's eyes filled with tears of gratitude. Thank you so much. You have no idea how important this child is. His father, he would have been devastated if something happened to him. Jerry reached into her purse and pulled out a large bundle of money. Please, let me pay you for the food and for taking care of him. Maria waved her hands, refusing the money. No, no, no. I couldn't take money for helping a child. I'm just happy he's safe. Jerry was shocked. In her experience, everyone wanted something in return for their help, especially when it came to wealthy families like the Richardsons. But this woman, who clearly had very little, was refusing payment for her kindness. One of the security guards immediately got on his radio. Bez, this is Martin. We found the boy. He's safe. Repeats. David Richardson is safe and unharmed. Jerry's phone rang immediately. She answered without hesitation. Mr. Richardson, we found him. David is safe. Thank God. Mark's voice came through, audible even to Maria standing nearby. Is he hurt? Where was he? He's perfectly fine, sir. A kind woman at the market found him and fed him. She kept him safe. I want to talk to her. I want to thank her right now. Jerry looked at Maria. Sir, she's right here. Can I put you on speaker? Yes, put me on speaker immediately. Jerry pressed the speaker button and held the phone towards Maria, who looked confused and nervous. Hello, ma'am. This is Mark Richardson, David's father. Came the clear, authoritative voice from the phone. I cannot express how grateful I am for what you've done. You fed my son and kept him safe when he was lost and scared. Maria was startled to be speaking directly to this man. Sir, I just did what any mother would do. He was hungry and frightened. Not everyone would have helped, ma'am. What's your name? Maria Wamboi, sir. Miss Wamboi, I want to send you money immediately as a thank you. Can you give Jerry your bank details? I'll transfer whatever amount you think is appropriate. Maria shook her head vigorously, even though he couldn't see her. No, sir. I couldn't take money for helping a child. That wouldn't be right. There was a surprised silence on the phone. Jerry, give her your number. If she ever needs anything, she can contact you and we'll help her. I'm on my way. And Maria, thanks again, Mr. Richardson said as the call ended. Jerry smiled at Maria. Well, Miss Wamboi, I want you to know that what you did today, it means more than you could ever know. As Jerry prepared to leave with David, she wrote something on a piece of paper and handed it to Maria. If you ever need anything, Jerry said, anything at all, please call this number. Mr. Richardson will want to thank you properly when he returned from his business trip. Maria took the paper but didn't really look at it. She was just happy the boy was safe. Goodbye, David, she said, patting his head. Be more careful next time, okay? And make sure you memorize Auntie's number. I will, David promised. Thank you for the food. It was the best rice and beans I ever had. Maria smiled as she watched them walk away, surrounded by several security guards who had been part of the search team. She had no idea that she had just fed the son of Mark Richardson, one of the richest men in the country. Mark Richardson owned Richardson Industries, a massive company with business in oil, real estate, technology and manufacturing. He was worth billions of shillings and was known throughout the world for his business success. His company provided jobs for over 200,000 people across the country. Mark had been raising David alone since his wife died during childbirth 7 years ago. The loss had devastated him, and he had thrown himself into work and caring for his son. Despite pressure from family and friends to remarry, Mark had no interest in love again. His heart belonged to David and the memory of his late wife Catherine. But Maria knew none of this. She didn't know the name Richardson or the kind of wealth they had. To her, David had just been a hungry, scared little boy who needed help. A boy who seemed to be from a good neighborhood, but no idea how rich they really were. 3 days later, Maria's life took a turn for the worse. Rose, her daughter, collapsed at school. The teacher called to say Rose had been rushed to the hospital. Maria ran there as fast as she could, her heart pounding with fear. The doctor met Maria in the hospital hallway. His face was serious. Miss Maria, he said gently. Rose's condition is getting worse. We need to do the heart surgery immediately or... He didn't need to finish the sentence. Maria understood. How much will it cost? Maria asked, though she already knew she couldn't afford it. The surgery, hospital stay and medication will cost about 2 million shillings, the doctor said. Maria felt the world spinning around her. 2 million? She made about 300 shillings on a good day at her food stall. It would take her years to save that much money, and Rose didn't have years. I don't have that money, Maria whispered, tears streaming down her face. But please, doctor, she's all I have. There must be something you can do. The doctor looked at her with sympathy. We can try to get her into our charity program, but there's a long waiting list. I'm not sure we have enough time. Maria spent the night at Rose's bedside, holding her daughter's small hand and praying for a miracle. Rose was pale and weak, but she still managed to smile at her mother. Mama, don't cry, Rose whispered. I'm going to be okay. But Maria knew better. Without the surgery, Rosa will not survive much longer. The next morning, Maria remembered the piece of paper Jerry had given her. She thought about Mark Richardson's word on the phone. If you ever need anything, taking a deep breath, she decided to make the call. Maria found a payphone in the hospital lobby and dialed the number. Jerry answered immediately. Hello? Jerry, this is Maria Wamboi. I need help. Miss Maria, what's wrong? My daughter Rose is in the hospital. She needs heart surgery that costs 2 million shillings and I don't have the money. Can you guys lend me the money? Mr. Richardson said if I ever needed anything. Say no more, Jerry said firmly. Where are you? City General Hospital room 304. We'll be there within the hour, don't worry about anything else. An hour later, Maria was sitting next to Rose's bed when there was a knock on the door. A man, tall, handsome in an expensive suit, entered the room, followed by Jerry and several other people Maria didn't recognize. But then she saw a familiar face. Little David peeked out from behind the adults, his eyes lighting up when he saw Maria. Mom Maria, David said excitedly, running to hug her. Mr. Richardson smiled warmly. Hello Maria, I'm David's father, the man you talked to the day you rescued my son. I'm sorry we are meeting under these circumstances. He walked closer to Rose's bed and looked down at the sleeping child. Jerry told me your daughter needs surgery. Maria nodded. She also told me that you called asking for a loan for her surgery. Maria nodded. Yes, and I will pay it back with interest, please. Ah, Maria, I meant it when I said if you need help, call me. Don't you know who I really am or what my company is worth? Maria shook her head. I'm Mark Richardson and my company is worth billions of shillings. I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. But 3 days ago, the most precious thing in my world, my son was lost and scared. And you, a woman who clearly has very little, shared your food with him and kept him safe until you could find him. He said, his voice becoming emotional. He then reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. The surgery your daughter needs, it's already been arranged. The best heart surgeon in the country will perform it tomorrow morning. All the costs are covered and you don't have to pay a dime. Maria couldn't believe what she was hearing. Sir, I can't accept this, it's too much. Miss Maria, you saved my son, not just from being lost, but from something potentially much worse. Do you know how many dangerous people there are in that market? How many bad things could have happened to him? Please, accept this as my gift for your kindness. Maria nodded. David stepped forward and took Maria's hand. Is this your daughter? Is she going to be okay? Maria looked down at the innocent boy, her eyes filled with tears. I hope so, David. I really hope so. She will be, David said confidently. My papa can fix anything. They all smiled. Over the next few days, Maria watched in amusement as Mark Richardson kept his promise. The best doctors were brought in. Rose received the finest medical care available. The surgery was a complete success. But Mark's kindness didn't stop there. While Rose was recovering, he visited Maria every day. He learned about her struggles, her late husband, and her dreams for Rose's future. Maria, he said one day, I'd like to offer you a job. I need someone I can trust to help manage the employee cafeteria at one of my offices. The pay is good, there are health benefits, and Rose will never have to worry about medical bills again. Maria was speechless. Sir, I've never worked in an office. I don't know if I'm qualified. Maria, you're qualified because you have something that can't be taught, a good heart. Everything else can be learned. As the weeks passed, Maria began her new job and they moved to a nice apartment near a good school because of the housing benefits of the job. David loved visiting them. He even started calling her mommy and would run to her whenever he was upset or excited. Mark Richardson noticed how happy his son had become and found himself looking forward to spending time with Maria and Rose. 6 months later, Mark asked Maria to walk with him to his garden. Rose and David were playing nearby. Maria, Mark said softly, I need to tell you something. When Catherine died, I thought I would never love again. I thought David and I would just manage on our own forever. Maria's heart began to race. But watching you with David, seeing how you've brought joy back into his life and into mine, I've realized something. He took her hands in his. I'm falling in love with you, Maria, not because you saved David that day, but because of who you are, your kindness, your beautiful heart. You make me so happy. You light up every room you enter and you're so beautiful. And that's why, he said, kneeling on one knee and removed a diamond ring. I want to ask you, will you make me the luckiest man by marrying me? Maria felt tears welling up in her eyes. Mark, I feel the same way. I like you, but I'm scared. We come from such different worlds. I don't care if we come from different worlds, Maria. The only world that matters is the one we create together. Everything that is mine shall be yours. Mark said, I love you and I need you. From across the garden, David's voice called out excitedly. Papa, are you going to marry Mom Maria? Because Rosa and I have already planned the wedding. Both children came running over, grinning from ear to ear, shouting, Mommy, please say yes, say yes. Maria looked at this beautiful man who had shown her nothing but respect and kindness, at David, who had already claimed her heart as his mother, and at Rose, who was beaming with happiness. Yes, I'll marry you, she whispered, and Mark pulled her into his arms. A year later, Maria Wamboi became Maria Richardson in a beautiful ceremony. David walked her down the aisle and Rose drew flower petals. As the couple exchanged vows, Mark whispered to Maria, Thank you for saving not just David that day, but both of us. Maria smiled through her tears. Thank you for showing me that sometimes the most broken hearts can heal and love again. As she watched Mark reading bedtime stories to both David and Rose one night, she whispered a prayer of gratitude. She thought back to that day in the marketplace where she had given her plate of food to a hungry boy. She had acted simply out of kindness, never dreaming that one small act could change her entire life and lead her to find love again or have financial security. Maria learned that day that when you plant seeds of kindness, you never know what kind of harvest you might receive. Sometimes, the most powerful people in the world are disguised as lost children who just need someone to care. And sometimes, helping a child find his way home can lead you to find your own way to love and happiness. In this story, love found a way to heal two broken hearts that had thought they would never be whole again. If you learned anything from this story, please share in the comments below. That was it for today's story. I hope to see you in my next video. Kwaheri.